a close-up of the toilet in which Steenkamp died. We saw a sort of aerial shot looking down into the toilet bowl, which was absolutely filled with blood. There was blood smeared on the seat and around the sides of the toilet, and obviously across the floor as she was pulled out.
4 gunshots, a locked bathroom door, Valentine's Day, and a love story that lasted just 3 months before it ended in blood. This is the story of how a global icon became a convicted murderer. February 14th, 2013. The place, an upscale home in Pretoria, South Africa. The man, Oscar Pistorius, Olympic legend, Paralympic champion, the Blade Runner who defied every limitation life placed before him. A man who inspired millions by proving that human potential transcends the body's physical boundaries. By sunrise, he would become something else entirely. The woman lying dead in his bathroom was Riva Steenkamp, 29 years old. A model, a law graduate, a woman whose future stretched bright and promising ahead of her. She had filmed an entire reality TV season that would air 2 days after her death. A strange, haunting, posthumous appearance that South Africa would watch in collective horror. The facts of this case read like a thriller, except the victim is real, the grief is permanent, and more than a decade later, we're still asking, what actually happened in those pre-dawn hours? Today, we dissect 6 disturbing truths about this case that transformed international hero worship into a cautionary tale about fame, violence, and the stories we tell ourselves when the unthinkable occurs. Because this isn't just about what Oscar Pistorius did, it's about what happened after. The shooting itself, a story told through a locked door. Let's establish what no one disputes. In the early morning hours of February 14th, 2013, Oscar Pistorius fired 4 shots from a licensed 9mm pistol through a locked bathroom door. 3 hollow-point expanding bullets struck Riva Steenkamp, one in her right hip, another in her right arm, and one in her head. She died almost instantly. Now here's where the story splits into 2 irreconcilable versions of reality. Pistorius claimed he woke around 3:20 a.m. to sounds he believed was an intruder. Without his prosthetic legs, vulnerable, terrified, he retrieved his gun from under the bed, whispered to Riva to call the police, and made his way toward the bathroom where he believed the intruder was hiding. He testified, "Before I knew it, I'd fired 4 shots at the door. My ears were ringing. I couldn't hear anything, so I shouted. I kept on shouting for Riva to phone the police. Then came the moment that changed everything. He returned to the bed and discovered Riva wasn't there. The panic, the realization. He broke down the bathroom door with a cricket bat, found her crumpled on the floor. It's a story of tragic misunderstanding, or horrible, irreversible accident. But prosecutor Jerry Nell saw something different entirely. He argued that Steenkamp had taken refuge inside the toilet cubicle after the couple got into an argument, and that Pistorius intended to kill her.
She wanted to leave. There's an argument. She had to get undressed quickly. Because of the argument, sir. She wanted to leave, and you were threatening her.
I made a mistake.
You killed Riva Steenkamp, that's what you did.
I made a mistake, my lady.
You're repeating it 3 times. What was your mistake?
My mistake is that I took Riva's life, my lady.
You killed her. You shot and killed her. Won't you take responsibility for that?
During the trial, Nell confronted Pistorius. "You will blame anybody but yourself. You're lying. You just refuse to take responsibility for anything." 2 stories, 1 locked door, and only 1 person left alive to tell their version. But if you think the shooting itself is disturbing, wait until you see the evidence left behind. Or rather, what the evidence revealed about the moments before those fatal shots. The evidence that whispered instead of screamed crime scenes speak. That's what investigators will tell you. Blood spatter patterns, bullet trajectories, the position of objects, they all tell a story independent of human memory and human lies. So what did this crime scene say? Riva's cell phone was found in the bathroom, not beside the bed, not charging in another room. In the bathroom, with her, behind that locked door. Think about that for a moment. You're in bed with your boyfriend. You hear a noise. He tells you there's an intruder. Your natural instinct is to lock yourself in the bathroom away from him, to take your phone with you, to lock the door between you and the person who's supposed to be protecting you. Riva was also fully clothed, suggesting perhaps she had been preparing to leave, not preparing for bed. Then there's the testimony from neighbors. Pistorius' next-door neighbor testified that she heard a loud fight between the pair break out more than an hour before the shooting. Other neighbors testified they heard a woman screaming before the shots were fired.
The cry that we heard that those early hours of the morning, the person was very desperate for help. So also we felt that probably is in danger. And
was it loud?
Very loud, my lady. It was very loud.
I asked you about you said a man's voice. I asked you if it was a low pitch or a low tone or a high tone.
No, it was a very high pitch voice.
The crying was like,
and was it short or continuing?
the crying was continuous.
The autopsy revealed another contradiction. The timing of their last meal, revealed in her autopsy, contradicted his story about when they went to bed. But here's where it gets even messier. The lead detective, Hilton Botha, admitted to bungling the investigation, missing a bullet, contaminating the scene, and later being removed from the case entirely. So we have evidence that suggests a fight. We have forensic error that create doubt. We have contradictory timelines, and we have a defense attorney's dream. Reasonable doubt served on a silver platter, courtesy of investigative incompetence. Forensics expert Captain Christian Mangena testified that the shots weren't all fired at once, implying Steenkamp may have screamed before one hit her.
The deceased was most probably seated in a defensive position, whereby it could be something like in this position.
The defense countered that the shots came too fast for that to be true. The crime scene whispered in contradictions, and in those whispers, Oscar Pistorius found his lifeline. But physical evidence is only part of the story. To understand what really happened, we need to examine the relationship itself. Because this wasn't a long-term partnership. This was a romance that barely made it past the honeymoon phase before it ended in tragedy. The 3-month relationship that ended on Valentine's Day. Riva Steenkamp had been Pistorius's girlfriend for 3 months, 90 days. A relationship still in its infancy, the phase where most couples are still presenting their best selves, still discovering each other, still wrapped in the warm glow of new romance. They had been dating since November 2012. By all public accounts, they appeared smitten. Photos from events showed them smiling, holding hands, playing the part of beautiful people living a beautiful life. But scratch the surface, and cracks begin to appear. The court heard that the couple had argued over a conversation Steenkamp had with another man at an event in January 2013, without introducing him to Pistorius. A jealousy issue, a possessiveness, the kind of conflict that in healthy relationships gets talked through. In unhealthy ones, it festers. At one point during the trial, Pistorius vomited and sobbed in the courtroom as he saw close-up images of Steenkamp's body. His anguish appeared genuine, his remorse palpable. He told the court, "I thought that there was a burglar that was gaining entry to my home. Initially, I just froze. The first thing that ran through my mind was that I needed to arm myself." He explained his mindset. His actions were influenced by his fear of home invasion. He said he had been followed, shot at, and hijacked while living in South Africa, and said he was simply trying to protect Riva. But 3 months, that's the haunting timeline here. Most people are still learning their partner's coffee order at 3 months, still figuring out their quirks, their boundaries, their communication styles. Yet on Valentine's Day, a day meant to celebrate love, this 3-month relationship ended with 4 bullets through a bathroom door. At the time of her death, Steenkamp was signed up to appear on season 5 of the reality TV program Tropica Island of Treasure and had filmed the series episodes on location in Jamaica. The screening began airing as scheduled on February 16, 2013, 2 days after her death. The first episode was dedicated to Steenkamp and was preceded by a video tribute to her. The nation watched a dead woman appear on their screens, full of life and promise, while her killer sat in a jail cell. Transition. So how does the justice system respond when a national hero is accused of murder? The answer reveals a legal saga so convoluted it would take 3 different courts and multiple appeals to finally reach a conclusion. The verdict that changed 3 times. If you want to understand how complicated and controversial this case became, just follow the legal journey. It's a masterclass in judicial uncertainty. March 2014, the trial begins. 7 months of testimony, forensic evidence, dramatic courtroom breakdowns. September 2014, Judge Thokozile Masipa acquitted Pistorius of premeditated murder, but found him guilty of culpable homicide, an offense similar to manslaughter in the United States.
Mr. Pistorius, please rise. The following is what I consider to be a sentence that is fair and just both to society and to the accused. Count 1, culpable homicide.
She sentenced him to 5 years in prison, 5 years for killing someone.
The sentence imposed is a maximum imprisonment of 5 years imposed in terms of Section 276(1)(I) of the Criminal Procedure Act, number 51 of 1977.
Judge Masipa explained her reasoning. He's a fallen hero who has lost his career and is ruined financially. The public reaction was swift and furious. Riva's family was devastated. Advocates for victims of domestic violence were outraged. 5 years seemed unconscionably light, but the legal system wasn't finished yet. October 2015. After serving only 10 months of his sentence, Pistorius was released on house arrest to serve the remainder at his uncle's home in a wealthy Pretoria suburb. Then came the first appeal. December 2015. South Africa's Supreme Court of Appeal overturned the culpable homicide conviction and found Pistorius guilty of murder, the legal principle dolus eventualis, meaning he foresaw death as a possible result of his actions and proceeded anyway.
I conclude with the following order being to be made. 1. The first 2 questions of law reserved are answered in favour of the Director of Public Prosecutions. 2. The accused's conviction and sentence on count 1 are set aside and replaced with the following. Guilty of murder, with the accused having had criminal intent in the form of dolus eventualis. 3. The matter is referred back to the trial court to consider an appropriate sentence afresh in the light of the comments in this judgment.
July 2016, he was sent back to prison for 6 years.
The sentence that I imposed on the accused for the murder dolus eventualis of the deceased, that is Riva Steenkamp, is 6 years imprisonment.
But that still wasn't the end. His final sentence was increased to 13 years and 5 months by South Africa's Supreme Court of Appeal in 2017.
The order reads as follows. 1. The application for leave to appeal is granted. 2. The appeal against sentence is upheld. 3. The sentence imposed by the Court of Law in respect of murder is set aside and substituted with the following. The respondent sentenced to imprisonment for a period of 13 years and 5 months. I hereby hand down the judgment.
From 5 years to murder to 13 years. 3 different legal outcomes for the same set of facts. It's enough to make anyone question how justice actually works when celebrity privilege and public opinion collide with the law. Yet even a 13-year sentence doesn't mean 13 years served. And in 2024, Oscar Pistorius walked out of prison and back into South African society, much to the horror of one woman who will never stop mourning her daughter. The mother who says her daughter's killer isn't rehabilitated. Her name is June Steenkamp, Riva's mother, and she has attended every significant moment of this legal saga, carrying the weight of grief that no parent should ever bear. January 5th, 2024. Oscar Pistorius was released on parole after serving 8.5 years in prison and 7 months of house arrest. A parole board granted his petition on the grounds that he had served half of his 13-year sentence, making him eligible according to South African law. But June Steenkamp wasn't celebrating. She attended the 2023 parole hearing to deliver written and oral statements to the parole board, explaining the permanent devastation Riva's murder has caused.
I don't think he would be, not necessarily it would be on him to get parole, because he must serve whatever his full time. In my eyes, he must still pay for what he's done.
Before the hearing, her lawyer Tanya Cohen told reporters, unless he comes clean, they don't feel that he is rehabilitated. In a January 2024 statement on behalf of the family, June Steenkamp said, "There can never be justice if your loved one is never coming back, and no amount of time served will bring Riva back. We who remain behind are the ones serving a life sentence." Think about that. While Pistorius now lives under supervision with restrictions on his movement, mandatory gender-based violence classes, anger management therapy, and a ban on speaking to media, he has kept a low profile since his release. He gets to breathe, to walk, to see sunrises. Riva doesn't. In a CNN documentary that aired in 2024, June Steenkamp recalled the moment she was told her daughter had died, describing it as the worst day of my life. She said she was hysterical. She called Pistorius's version of events absolute rubbish and lies. Steenkamp expressed her concern for the safety of other women, stating, "At this time, I am not convinced that Oscar has been rehabilitated. This is what justice looks like when filtered through parole boards and legal technicalities. A grieving mother who will never get her daughter back, a convicted murderer who gets a second chance at life, and a public still divided on whether the right verdict was ever truly reached." But perhaps the most chilling aspect of this entire case isn't what happened in that bathroom or in those courtrooms. It's what this case revealed about celebrity, violence, and how quickly a nation's hero can become its most notorious criminal. The cultural reckoning this case forced upon a nation. Before the shooting, if you combine the celebrity of LeBron James with the appeal of Leonardo DiCaprio, that was what Oscar Pistorius represented in South Africa, according to crime journalist Scott Roeder. He wasn't just an athlete, he was a symbol. Proof that disability wasn't limitation, that determination could overcome any obstacle. He was the country's favorite celebrity in 2011, according to Heat magazine's annual poll. Then came Valentine's Day 2013, and everything changed. The case sparked national debate about gender-based violence, celebrity justice, and flaws in the legal system. It also led to reforms in how the courts deal with high-profile cases and femicide. South Africa has one of the highest rates of violence against women in the world. Reeva Steenkamp became an unwilling symbol of that epidemic. In her tragic death, she transcended her roles as model and girlfriend, becoming a poignant silenced voice in the urgent conversation around domestic abuse. The trial itself became a media spectacle unlike anything South Africa had seen. Millions watched live courtroom proceedings. Social media exploded with real-time analysis. In April 2024, Cape Town Opera gave the world premiere of Trial by Media, an opera exploring how print and social media affects celebrity legal cases. Using the Pistorius trial as a narrative arch, the work was critically received for giving a voice to the murder victim, while being a brave and audacious piece of operatic theater. The case exposed uncomfortable truths: how easily we glamorize male athletes, how domestic violence hides behind closed doors in even the most affluent homes, and how a justice system can struggle when the accused is beloved by millions. From inspiration to pariah, from hero to killer, the fall was as spectacular as his rise had been. But here's what we're left with: a beautiful young woman who will never fulfill her potential, a family serving their own life sentence of grief, and a convicted murderer now free on parole, having served just over 8 years for taking a life. Justice? That's for each person to decide. 4 shots through a bathroom door. That's where this story begins and ends. Everything else, the contradictory evidence, the botched investigation, the 3 separate court verdicts, the celebrity fall from grace, the grief of a mother who will never see her daughter again. It all radiates out from those 4 seconds of violence in the pre-dawn hours of Valentine's Day 2013. We've examined 6 disturbing truths about the Oscar Pistorius case: the shooting itself and its 2 irreconcilable narratives, the evidence that raised more questions than answers, the 3-month relationship that ended in tragedy, the verdict that changed 3 times before finally settling on murder, the mother who insists her daughter's killer hasn't truly faced what he's done, and the cultural reckoning this case forced upon a nation. But perhaps the most disturbing truth of all is this: we may never know with absolute certainty what happened in that bathroom. Was it a tragic accident born of paranoia and fear? Or was it rage and violence masquerading as protective instinct? The court decided. Oscar Pistorius was convicted of murder. But the question of why, what truly motivated him to fire 4 hollow-point bullets through a locked door that remains trapped behind that barrier, accessible only to one living person's memory and conscience. Reeva Steenkamp deserved better than this. She deserved a full life, a career, happiness, safety. She deserved not to become a cautionary tale, a symbol, a victim whose name is forever linked to her killers in the public consciousness. Her mother said it best: those who remain behind are the ones serving a life sentence. If you want to see more deep dive documentaries that examine cases with the nuance and respect they deserve, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, remember, behind every headline is a human being. Behind every case is a life that mattered. And behind every locked door There are questions that may never be fully answered.